everyone, and welcome back to the English Blend.
It is fantastic to be here with you all.
I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
How are you doing today, Leo? You seem ready for the day.
I'm great, thank you. I actually navigated a really complicated intersection this morning without checking my phone once.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
I know, it felt like a little victory.
Well, that's perfect timing then, because today we are talking about navigation.
But not just navigation, right?
Exactly. We're tackling the specific, sometimes terrifying, topic of asking for directions.
That moment when your phone battery dies or the signal just disappears.
Or when you are standing in the middle of a busy city street looking completely lost.
You know, I think many English learners feel comfortable reading directions, but speaking to a stranger, asking them for help, that's a huge leap.
It is a huge leap. And the title of our episode is Asking for Directions Without Sounding Awkward.
That's a great title because awkwardness is the enemy of fluency, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And it's often not about grammar.
No, it's usually about the approach.
How do you approach someone? How do you interrupt their day politely?
That's our hook question for today. Have you ever felt too embarrassed to ask for help, even when you desperately needed it?
I definitely have. We all have those moments.
So stick around because we're going to give you the exact phrases, the mindset, and the tips you need to ask like a native speaker.
And most importantly, without feeling awkward.
So Mia, let's start with the root cause. Why does asking for directions feel so strange sometimes?
I think it's a mix of things. First, there's the fear of interrupting,
That's very true. You're approaching a stranger who is probably busy.
right? And then there's the language barrier itself. You worry you won't understand the response.
That's the classic English learner fear. You manage to ask the question perfectly, but then the person speaks too quickly.
Exactly. They say, go 2 blocks down, hang a right, then keep your eyes peeled for the blue sign. And you're nodding, but inside you're thinking, what does keep your eyes peeled mean?
That phrase right there is a perfect example of why vocabulary matters in this context.
Let's define a key term immediately. We need to focus on politeness markers.
Oh, good idea. What are politeness markers, Mia?
Simply put, they are the little words and phrases we use to make our request softer and more respectful.
Like adding a little velvet cushion to a sharp question.
That's a great analogy. If you just walk up to someone and say, "Where is the train station?" it can sound a bit demanding.
It's grammatically correct, but the tone is too direct.
Politeness markers include words like excuse me, pardon me, and using modal verbs like could and would.
So instead of demanding, we are requesting permission to ask the question.
Exactly. We are easing into the conversation.
Let's think about the tone as well. We said we want to sound natural and friendly.
Absolutely. A warm smile goes a long way.
It signals to the person you're approaching that you are not a threat and you genuinely just need a little assistance.
And remember, most people actually like helping others.
That's a great point. It gives them a chance to be the local expert for a moment.
You know, this reminds me of a short, relatable story.
Oh, tell us.
A few years ago, I was visiting Chicago, and I was trying to find a very specific, tiny bookstore.
Chicago streets can be tricky.
They really can. My phone died naturally. I stopped a woman who was walking her dog. I was so nervous about interrupting her.
What did you say?
I walked up and started with, I am so sorry to bother you, but I seem to be completely lost.
Starting with an apology and admitting vulnerability. That's smart.
It immediately opened the conversation. She paused, smiled, and spent 5 minutes drawing me a little map on a napkin.
That's lovely. See, people want to help when you approach them gently.
The key takeaway from that story is acknowledge their time before making your request.
That is the core of not sounding awkward. You show respect first.
Right, and let's bring in a mini cultural note here. In many English-speaking cultures, especially in larger cities, direct confrontation or immediate, blunt questions can be seen as slightly rude.
We tend to prefer softening language, especially with strangers.
We use a lot of hedges, words like just, maybe, perhaps, or introductory phrases like I was wondering if.
It's all about creating distance and reducing the perceived urgency, even when you are desperately lost.
Exactly. Now, let's move into the practical steps that our listeners can use right away.
Perfect. Let's make this actionable.
We've broken this down into 3 essential steps for asking directions perfectly.
These steps cover the approach, the request, and the reaction.
Tip 1. The soft start and verification. Never dive straight into the request.
This is where you use your best politeness markers.
The absolute best way to start is, "Excuse me, I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you familiar with this area?"
That's clever, Mia. Why is that specific phrasing so effective?
Because you're giving them an easy out. They can say, "Oh, sorry, I'm a tourist too," and you haven't wasted their time explaining a detailed route.
That makes the whole interaction less pressured.
Precisely. Other great openers include, "Pardon me, do you have a quick moment?" Or, "Hi there, I'm hoping you can help me."
Always open with an apology or a softening phrase.
And keep your sentences short and clear at this stage. "Excuse me," pause. "Quick question," pause.
That slow pace helps both the learner and the local person prepare for the request.
That's absolutely right. And remember that warm, friendly tone. Smile.
I agree. A person is far more likely to help a smiling stranger than a worried, serious one.
So, recap of tip 1. Start soft, verify their local knowledge, and be brief.
Okay, so they've said, yes, I know this area. Now we move to step 2, the specific, focused request.
This is where you actually state what you need. And you need to be very clear. Don't say, "I'm looking for a cool place." Say, "I'm trying to find the Main Street post office."
Use specific nouns and clear language.
We highly recommend using a phrase like, "I was wondering if you could possibly tell me,"
That is a beautifully polite construction.
"I was wondering if you could possibly tell me how to get to the nearest ATM."
Or, if you need them to simplify the explanation, you can add a helpful qualifier. Could you tell me the best way to walk to the museum?
Why is adding walk important, Leo?
Because sometimes people assume you want driving directions, which can be much more complex and confusing if you're on foot.
That's a fantastic detail. Always specify if you are walking, driving, or looking for a bus stop.
Let's give an example of the full interaction up to this point.
Approaches, soft start. "Excuse me, sir. I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, but do you know this part of the city well?"
Yes, I live nearby. What can I do for you?
"I was wondering if you could possibly point me in the direction of the Grand Library. I need the walking route if possible."
See how the language is clear, simple, and the sentences are short. It manages to be complex using wondering if, but easy to understand.
It feels natural, right? You know.
Exactly. Another thing about tip 2, be prepared to repeat yourself once, maybe twice.
Don't worry if they ask you to clarify the name of the place. Street names are tricky.
It's better to sound slightly repetitive than to follow wrong directions.
And one fun fact related to names. Did you know that in many parts of the UK and Ireland, they use High Street instead of Main Street for the central commercial road?
That's a great cultural note. If you're asking for the main shopping street in London, ask for the High Street, not the Main Street.
It's a tiny detail, but it enhances your communication and sounds less foreign.
Moving on to tip 3, the active listener and confirmation. This is the step most learners skip.
This is crucial because this is where the speed of the native speaker might overwhelm you.
When they start giving directions, go past the bakery, take the third exit on the roundabout, and look for the yellow sign, you must be actively listening.
Don't just nod along if you didn't catch the third instruction.
It is perfectly okay and actually very helpful to interrupt politely with clarifying questions.
For example, if they mention a landmark you don't know, ask immediately. Sorry, what was that landmark again? The yellow sign?
Or if they spoke too fast, use these phrases. Could you run that by me one more time, please? Or, just to confirm, I turn right after the park, correct?
That last phrase, just to confirm, is brilliant. It shows you paid attention but need a quick check.
Confirmation phrases are your safety net. They ensure you understood key concepts like turn left, go straight, or cross the street.
And if the directions are very long, summarize them quickly.
That's a mini summary we need to include. Let's say they gave you 4 steps.
You can say, so if I have this right, walk to the corner, turn left at the cafe, and it's next to the bank. Is that correct?
That conversational recap shows respect for their time and confirms the information.
And what about the reaction when they finish, Mia?
Always finish with a sincere, thank you so much, I really appreciate your help, or you've really saved my day.
Gratitude is key. It closes the conversation naturally and politely.
It is definitely a great way to close it out. We don't want to leave them hanging.
So we have the soft start, the specific request, and the active confirmation. These 3 steps cover the entire interaction.
Let's take a quick breather and then dive into some specific vocabulary and idioms related to directions.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the language focus section. We want to give you a few phrases that are common when talking about directions, but may be confusing for learners.
These are phrases that people will often use when they give you directions.
The first phrase is simple, but highly effective in the opening statement. I seem to be a little lost.
This is much softer than I am lost.
Exactly. I am lost sounds final and panicked. I seem to be a little lost uses the softening word little and the verb seem to sound less demanding.
It implies a temporary state that is easily solvable.
Let's try some example sentences.
Example 1. Excuse me, I seem to be a little lost. Could you point me towards the main square?
Example 2. I think I made a wrong turn and seem to be lost. Do you know where Smith Street is?
Using this phrase is also a great way to signal that you are having difficulty without saying, my English is bad.
It shifts the focus from your language skills to the environment. You know, that makes a huge difference in confidence.
Phrase 2. Landmark.
Our second key vocabulary word is landmark.
A landmark is an important, easily recognizable object or building that helps you define a location.
It's a point of reference. It could be a statue, a famous fountain, or maybe a very distinctive restaurant.
When you are asking for directions, you often use landmarks to guide yourself.
And the person giving directions will definitely use landmarks.
Example sentences. Is there a specific landmark I should look for when I reach the bridge?
Or, the coffee shop is right next to that big red church. That's your landmark.
If you are the one asking, use landmarks you already know if possible. I know where the library is. Do I turn left or right after that landmark?
That shows you have done your research too, which helps. Phrase 3. Hitting the spot. Our final idiom for today is a bit more fun and less literal, to hit the spot.
Ah, a classic. How does this relate to directions, Mia?
It relates to the successful outcome. When you finally find the place you were looking for, or when the directions were absolutely perfect, you might say the directions hit the spot.
This is a phrase we use when something is exactly right or perfectly satisfies a need.
It can be used for food, advice, or, in this case, accurate instructions.
Example sentences. Those directions were perfect. You really hit the spot.
Or, if you are talking about the cafe you were looking for, I finally found the cafe and their cappuccino completely hit the spot.
This is a fantastic, natural phrase that will make you sound like a native speaker when you recount your experience later.
It adds that natural conversational flair.
So, we have covered being politely lost, using key reference points, landmarks, and celebrating success, hitting the spot.
This is really comprehensive, Leo.
I think so too. But let's make sure we summarize everything for our listeners.
Okay, everyone, let's bring it all together. This entire episode was about replacing fear with preparation.
If you follow the practical tips, you won't sound awkward. You'll sound polite, prepared, and confident. Remember the 3 essential tips.
Tip 1, the soft start. Always open with an apology or a polite verification, like, "Excuse me, I hope you don't mind me asking."
Tip 2, the specific, focused request. Be clear about your destination and whether you are walking or driving. Use polished phrases like, "I was wondering if you could possibly tell me."
Active listener and confirmation. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification and summarize the directions back to them using phrases like, "Just to confirm, I turn left at the bookstore, correct?"
And use those beautiful politeness markers. That's what distinguishes fluent, natural speech.
Use your new vocabulary. Tell people you seem to be a little lost and look out for key landmarks.
We really want to encourage you to try this out. Practice these specific openers in your head. The next time your map fails you, or even if you just want to challenge yourself, approach someone and use tip 1.
Practice makes perfect, right? Even just practicing the opening line is a huge step in building speaking confidence.
So take these tips, try them in the real world, and let us know how it goes.
Practice English daily, even in small ways. That's how you blend into native conversations.
Exactly. We hope this episode has helped you feel much more prepared for your next adventure.
That was a great talk.
Yes, see you in the next episode of The English Blend.
Next time, we are going to be diving into common office idioms.
You won't want to miss it.
Bye, everyone.
See you soon.